Okay, so this is Chef Gerard, and I'm going to talk you through making a lovely winter minestrone soup. Showing you the ingredients here so far. We've got some spinach, easy prepared, packed, as well as some British sliced greens. So that would just include a couple of flavours of different varieties of cabbage. That's the minion there. Hello. Got onion, garlic, courgette, carrots, beautiful black kale, which is out at the moment. You can get normal kale, but this black kale brings a bit of extra flavour. Some of the meat that we're going to put in, you can get pancetta in blocks, but I like these cubes. And for the amount that I'm going to cook, I need two packets of the pancetta. Borlotti beans are a must. You can have other beans in there as well. I tend to put cannelloni beans in as another option. I'm going to have chopped tomatoes. Not showing you these here at the moment, but I have chopped tomatoes, and I also have the passata. You can just use just some tomato puree as an addition to that, but I prefer the passata. Parmesan, you definitely need that, and you need the parmesan with the rind on, and I'll explain why we have that. And then for later on we'll have spaghetti, and then obviously later when we come to eat it, we need to definitely have some beautiful crusty bread. So I use a fairly large pan. I always make more than what we actually need just for the two of us, because it always goes around the family. We need to fry off the pancetta first, so we're going to just put a nice bit of olive oil in the pan over a fairly medium high sort of heat. You can regulate it. Obviously there's quite a lot of fat in the pancetta, so it will heat up and spark quite a lot, so we need to regulate the heat. As I say, I've got two packets. Try to make it as easy as possible, so you can buy this fresh, but as I say, when you're coming home tired from work, you want to make it as easy as possible. So this doesn't take long at all. When you've got the four parts of the pancetta in there, it's about 260 grams. Quite a lot of fat to melt away there, but brings the beautiful taste. Whilst that's cooking away, I've already chopped the onion, fairly sizable 1.5 onions, and I've just got 3.5, 4 cloves of garlic here. You can moderate that to your own taste. I'm just going to slice this, put it in with the pancetta once the pancetta is cooked down a bit. Okay, so the pancetta is browning nicely now. You don't want to overcook this, because obviously it's going to cook for another 2 hours or so actually in the soup mix itself. So the idea is to try and melt down some of the fat, get it brown. Sorry for the camera work, but this is just mint for my niece, our lovely Laura, who likes this soup. Hopefully she's going to use this recipe herself. Okay, so we'll now just add the onion and the garlic to the pancetta. So once the onion and the garlic is in, it's important not to let it burn. You're just cooking this off a bit, so just keep your eye on it for a few minutes, and then we'll be building up the ingredients. It's very much like a set of building blocks, really. You build this soup based on your own taste and requirements. So we've first got the pancetta, then we've got the onion and the garlic, and then we'll add the rest of the ingredients as we go along. As we're adding, we start to get wetter as we go along as well, so we'll be adding more of that. It's not on a particularly high heat this at the moment, so as I say, we just want it cooked and sweat the onions off a bit, let the garlic aroma start to come through, and the pancetta obviously isn't burnt, but it's cooked ready for the soup. So now we're going to build on the rest of the ingredients. So we now need to chop the courgette and start thinking about our vegetable stock. What I tend to do with the courgette is wash it first and then leave these stripes of the actual skin on the courgette, and this brings like a good earthy feel to it. I'm going to cut this quite chunky to help with the chunky nature of the soup, but I just wanted to demonstrate that this is what I do. Also use about 3 carrots, medium-sized carrots, and they're just cut into circles. Again, fairly chunky bits because it's meant to be a chunky, hearty minestrone soup. Okay, so it's now been 5 to 6 minutes with the onion added to the pancetta and the garlic. This is sweated down nicely, you can see. I wish you could smell it, it's lovely. What we need to do now is add the courgette. Remember the courgette, it's a fairly large courgette, part skin on, and cut into large chunks. So this is the building blocks now. We're just adding as much courgette as you want. Keep your eye on the heat, make sure it doesn't burn. This is 1 courgette. And then we're adding 3 medium carrots. Again, chopped fairly sizably. There you go. And the rest of the courgette goes in as well. Sorry, it's not good. I need a helmet camera. Okay. Now obviously this is not very wet at the moment as a set of ingredients, but we're going to keep building up. The next thing that we need to do is add the borlotti beans, cannelloni beans, chopped tomatoes, the passata, and then we're going to add the vegetable stock to be able to allow us to add the spinach and the other green goods. So I'll just go and get them ingredients. So the next set of building blocks now. First we've got just a standard can of chopped tomatoes. That goes in there, very nice. Definitely you use borlotti beans. Other brands of borlotti beans are available. I've drained these pretty much, so they go in there as well. There's a little bit of fluid, but that's okay. You don't have to add more beans, but I do like cannelloni beans in there as well, should I say. These are quite nice. Bit of contrast to the borlotti beans. But yeah, you can leave them out, put them in, whatever you want to do. And as I said at the start of this, you can add now a bit of tomato puree as it progresses, or you can use the passata, which I like to use. I'm going to put half of my passata in there at the moment. Keep some, just in case when I'm adding, I may feel more is required. What I'm going to do at this stage before I add the stock is add black pepper and salt just for seasoning. I'm going to boil the kettle now, and I'm going to add my stock after this. I'm going to give this a good stir. So for the stock, we just use these stock pots, vegetable stock pots. Probably just 1 required. I'm going to use just 1 at the moment, and we build up, see if we need any more. It's all about building blocks, remember. I'm going to fill this jug up. Hot water obviously needs to be used for boiling. So each stock pot probably only needs about 500 ml of hot water. I've got about 800 ml here now. Remember, I've got this other pot that I can use. You can just put this straight into the mix if you want, but I'm just going to use this fluid at the moment. Again, it's about building blocks, so if I put more carrots in, more courgette than normal, then I may need less or more fluid. Again, it's just as you go along, you can pretty much feel your way. I'm going to use this amount at the moment. So into the pan goes the stock. It's beautiful, it smells gorgeous at this stage. And what I'm going to do now is start adding all the lovely greens that we've got, starting with the spinach. Spinach pretty much goes down to nothing, it melts away almost. And then we're going to have the nice cabbage, and then we've got the gorgeous black kale that's going to go in there as well. So we'll keep adding. So we need to add more fluid, we will do. And then we've got one of the most important ingredients to go after that. So I'll start adding my greens. So what I've got here, first of all, is about 5 handfuls, fistfuls of spinach. Just sort of break them apart as you put them in the dish. And as I say, these just melt almost to nothing, but the taste that comes from them is pretty incredible, really. Lots of goodness in spinach, of course. You may add more in there at this moment, but I'm just going to leave that to melt away for a minute. At the same time, you can recognise here that more stock is required. I've put about 800 ml in there at the moment. It will depend obviously on the size of the pan that you're using, but I'm going to make another 400 ml or so of stock using the other pot that I had on the side, and then keep adding the fluid, keep adding my greens. So that's the spinach in first, next step's the cabbage, and then the kale will go in.